I think we're a lot closer than the market is indicating right now. Right now, the market is pricing in that this war is basically over and ships are going to get moving and everything's going to go back to normal, and that's just not the case. We have very little movement in terms of negotiation. There's no indication that there's going to be any kind of deal that's going to be reached soon. And even if that happens, there's no indication that ships are going to start moving through the Strait of Hormuz. And even then, we're going to have a huge backlog of products. You're not going to necessarily see jet fuel getting out of the Persian Gulf as the number one product. We've got quite a ways of backlog to work out. And so it is entirely possible that we could be seeing some kind of fuel shortages in some areas. I do think some airlines are better equipped than others. Some areas are better equipped than others, but there could definitely be some issues. And that, of course, depends on how long this lasts.
Ellen, do we know yet the damage to the infrastructure in that part of the world as it relates to some of the oil production? Do we know that?
So we do have some degree of knowledge. Saudi Arabia has reported that it's gotten its East-West pipeline back at full capacity. Right now, I think we're still figuring out what kind of damage was done at Fujairah, because that attack just happened 2 days ago, and so it depends what's going on there. And then I think it's going to be up to some of the other individual countries, Iraq, for example, to discuss what kind of potential damage, or at least the shut-ins have caused, or at least how long it's going to take for them to get back and going.
So, Ellen, what's the role of OPEC here? We haven't heard much from them over the last 10 weeks or so. Are they kind of frozen out of kind of driving where this goes?
Well, it's a very difficult position, I think, because they'd clearly love to increase production, but most of the members that have spare capacity just can't. So it's not really an issue of how much OPEC could produce or increase to produce, or increase production to help offset the loss of these barrels. It's more an issue of once the flows get going again, how much can they increase to repair the damage? How much are they going to be sending out to repair or to replace all of the stocks that have been drawn down? And I think that they've indicated that they are willing to increase production to meet that need.
Ellen, you are absolutely definitive on the Wahhabi, the tribe of Saudi Arabia. How fractured is their relationship with the Trucial States, United Arab Emirates, up to Kuwait?
The Trucial States. I haven't heard that in a while. Yeah, that's what they used to call the UAE.
Let me explain.
The UAE. So,
Ellen, let me explain, folks. These are tribes. The history of them literally is out of Lawrence of Arabia 3 generations ago, and Ellen is expert on this. How fractured is your Arab world, Ellen Wald?
So it's very interesting. I do think that there are growing divisions between the UAE, what used to be known as the Trucial States, and Saudi Arabia. I don't think it's quite as bad as people think, because I do think that it's been developing for a while. So it's not like this just exploded out of nowhere. The UAE has always been a rather more independent minded, I would say. They actually invited the British to come and have a protectorate over them, and then didn't really get rid of that protectorate until a fairly late time, and considering in the region. And so they've always kind of pursued their own path, to say. I do think it is a loss to OPEC that they are leaving and going on their own, but I do think it's a benefit to the UAE. For Saudi Arabia, I do think right now they're in a position where they're quite concerned. I think that seeing the damage that Iran was able to do to Fujairah just this week really brought about a heightened concern, I think, about what might happen to their oil facilities, and that's really their priority. And so I think they're acting to protect their national treasure, their gift from God, their oil and their oil facilities. That's really the number one priority.